Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoy the video that I have for you tonight. And if you do like it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and also make sure you're subscribed to my channel. It's quick, it's easy, just the click of a button, and it'll make sure you can get more content like this. And so, what's the topic of today's video? Simply put, it's expressed in the title. Hmm. We all say potato. No one says potato. Hmm. And so the reason I brought up that title is that I kind of want to debunk a common expression. Really enjoy debunking sayings that are a little misleading. And so this comes from a saying that I find to be pretty misleading because I do like the message. If we say, oh, you say potato, I say potato, you say tomato, I say tomato. Um, or we have a shortened version of this, oh, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. And it's sort of, I like the message it's sending, which is, okay, yeah, you say it your way, I say it my way. Let's be friends anyway. They both are valid. There's no reason not to get along. Um, but the misinterpretation here, the reason why the saying is a little misleading is because it implies that, well, it's absolutely true that a lot of people say tomato and many others say tomato, and this is all perfectly valid pronunciations, all fine. The saying implies that some people say potato and other people say potato, which is not true. That's just completely misleading because nobody says potato. And so, if you don't believe me, I'll give you, well, some results from some linguistic evidence. For example, in dialectology and sociolinguistics, there have been studies done about these exact pronunciations. And so I wanted to look into for English speaking people who says potato and who says potato and who says tomato, who says tomato. So I found there have been studies done and there's research that will enlighten us on this fact. So speaking of tomato, I looked at studies that included four different English speaking countries. We of course have United States of America and Canada and the United Kingdom and Australia. Those are the four different English speaking countries, four different varieties of English that I looked into the results on. And as far as tomato goes, turns out that Americans overwhelmingly say tomato. Same thing for Australians, who will often say tomato. Now, the British, they prefer to say tomato. And Canadians also tend to say tomato, but Canada is a little more complicated because younger Canadians, some are starting to prefer the tomato, the pronunciation, which is a little closer to the American pronunciation rather than the British. But still, it's perfectly valid. There's a lots of people who say tomato and lots who say tomato, and mostly it depends on where you grew up, and that's perfectly valid. Now, looking into potato, we don't get the same results. Turns out, okay, Americans say potato. Canadians also say potato. The British say potato. And even Australians do not say potato. Even Australians, much like the other three countries, they don't say potato. But Australians, they tend to say potato. like where it ends with an ER at the end, or, in the plural, potatoes. Um, and so that's still not potato. And actually, it turns out that Australians often, when they're talking about potatoes, so they say potatoes, but they often just call them spuds. So, long story short, nobody says potato. So, why do we have a saying that implies that people say potato, even if it's not true? Hmm. Simply put, it comes from a song. And it's lyrics in the song to be rhyming and to be musical. It's about musicality. It's not about how it's not about an accurate representation of how people pronounce these words. And so, um, yeah, delving into that song, what song was it? It's a song that's called The Whole Thing Off. That's called The Whole Thing Off, was written by George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin for a 1937 film called Shall We Dance? And this film starred Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, and it's a rom-com slash musical. It's a romantic comedy with plenty of singing and dancing in it. And so the plot is there, Fred Astaire's character, he's a retired ballet dancer. And Ginger Rogers is playing a showgirl. And so this ballet dancer and the showgirl, they decided to fake a marriage for publicity reasons. So they faked the marriage for publicity. But then here's the romantic comedy part. They actually fall in love. And so this song was originally performed by the two of them as a duet in the movie, and it's along with a dance scene on roller skates. They're singing all the song, and then they do, if you can imagine that, they start tap dancing on roller skates, and then go on to there. And so, if you're still not convinced that the song is just rhymey, let's delve into the lyrics. And so I'm gonna bring up a screen with some of the lyrics from the song, right? And so we have even before the potato line, uh, they start with a decent ballad comparison where and by the way, Fred Astaire is singing this part. It's a duet. He's singing in the beginning, and he says he sings, you say either, I say either, you say neither, I say neither, either, either, neither, neither. Let's call the whole thing off. Of course, they're not actually going to call the whole thing off their fake marriage because they're falling in love. And there you go. And so, and that's all a valid comparison. So it might give you the impression that, yeah, people do say both of those things legitimately, which is true. But the false impression comes in with the next line, the first line highlighted. You like potato and I like potato. You like tomato and I like tomato. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, sociolinguistic and yeah, sociolinguistic research shows that no, nobody says potato, but it's all about the rhyme. It's all about rhyming. Uh, Potato has to be the pronunciation, so it rhymes with tomato, right? Potato, tomato. It's all just a song lyric. It's all just a rhyme. And if you still need more convincing, let's look at the other highlighted passage that I have. And this is when Ginger Rogers starts singing in the song. This is among her first lines. And so she says, you say laughter, or she sings, you say laughter, I say laughter. You say after, I say after, laughter, laughter, after. Let's call the whole thing off right there. And of course, Ginger Rogers is speaking with an American an American accent the whole time. And in America, we generally say laughter, and so it's a false comparison again. It's a false equivalency again. They're pretending like some people say laughter and others say after. It's again just for musicality and the rhyming. So my recommendation for you is instead of using, oh, potato, potato, tomato, tomato, if you want to make the same point, which is a good point, you say it your way, I'll say it my way. And so let's not quibble about it. But we need to leave out the potato, potato part of it. So instead of saying, oh, potato, potato, tomato, tomato, I recommend just going with, oh, tomato, tomato. It makes the whole point. It gets the whole point across, and it does reflect how people actually say things, valid pronunciations of words, and will not so any ignorance of pronunciation by assuming that people actually say potato. So let's not go there. Let's not assume anyone says potato. Let's just go with tomato, tomato. So that's my whole point. And by the way, I'm not playing this song for copyright reasons. I don't have the rights to play that song on my YouTube channel, but I will write in the description of this video, in the description below, I will include a link to that scene from the movie Shall We Dance, where um, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers give the first ever performance, the debut performance for this song. And if you do like the song, I suggest you check out other versions of it. It's been recorded by many people. Very famous duet between Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong doing this song together. Very cool. Billie Holiday even recorded a version of the song. So anyway, check those other versions out if you like the first one, and I do encourage you to check the first one out. And I do like the saying and its message, but I don't want anybody walking around with the false impression that anybody says potato. And so there you go. So now you know. Nobody says potato, so let's just keep it to tomato, tomato. And there you go. So again, thanks for everybody who watches my videos to the very end. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't given it a thumbs up yet, please do so now. And please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get lots more content like this. So thanks a bunch, and I will see you around next time. Bye-bye. Bye.